infected with the poison from the loss. They think this shit a game until it costs to be the boss. All I see is checkmate. These rookies pawn the flaws, try to sacrifice the king, had to nail him to the cross. My queen rolled the dice, only time she finna toss. Born a different breed, sign language we don't speak. Catch the waves, see within these beats, peep the soul change. Hold up. Treasure pain, ocean deep, yes, that's where I lay. Fillet the crack and trying to strangle me, I had to slay. Step within the death, do so I'm a flex. Play me as Hades, Poseidon drip and get you wet. Spirit guided through the darkness, demon shaman defeated. Till they're peeking through the gateway, devious trick-or-treating. Distinct premonitions beyond this dimension. If shit ain't adding up, just know that you gifted. Murder ego for the moment, microdosing these components. Transformation, breakdown seconds, manifest with them intentions. Deja vu, already knew. So could you peek inside the vibe, come and take a taste or two. We that trippy crew, smoking doja lurking through. Bass bending blocks, yes, this the way we move. All I need is lovely weed tunes with the light.
Sipping on the Stella while I'm yelling in the megaphone. Flow so upper echelon, squatted like the Megatron. 5 lines like the Pentagon, humble like the Kendrick song. I'ma keep it moving, fuck a Peloton. Concentrate so dialed in, tempted just to smoke it all. I've been making fire spins, popping out the Pokeball. Spun out on these shows, she's gonna be feeling like Shake Zula. I'm still perma tripping from that Powerade Hula. If you fuck with ICE, yo mama look like Crumpets. At the function, you might see me with bad bitches on my plumbers. Yeah, shout out to Save Money, you know what we do with hundreds. But I'll always share the wealth when we got it in abundance. My night's about to end from the drinks that I'm dual wielding. Hihachi, how I'm uppercutting straight into the ceiling. Your rooms are always empty, it's like I can hear the echo. I know that shit painful, got 'em 7 on the Legos.
Oh, got to do that again. Mic check, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Mic check. We are live. What up, everybody? My name is braV. Welcome to I Can't Produce a Podcast. This is episode number 29, and I'm pleased to be joined by my guest today, Louie Letdown, a new homie that I met over the last summer at Sonic Bloom Music Festival. He was putting on a set, and what a set that was. We can talk about that if you'd like. And that was a song by him called Deja Vu. It's got a lot of the other rappers on there. But that was one of my favorite ones. That wasn't my favorite one. My favorite one off of his Spotify, which you can find in the link description below, was Deli Cuts. But I thought Deja Vu was a close second. So I wanted to play that up first. Louie, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing really well. It's been a pretty chill Saturday, pretty productive, but yeah, I'm doing well, man. How about you?
Doing very similarly, just trying to take it easy on my Saturdays since, like I said, work, like we were talking earlier, I work late nights, so keeping the stress under control is very important to me.
I feel that.
Well, yeah, I wanted to have you on the show because I like your music, and besides that, we met at Sonic Bloom, and you were a really awesome friend to meet there. So, do you want to talk about like kind of how, or not how we met, but I guess the backstory to how we met is that you were DJing a shower set, right?
Yeah, the foam party,
the foam
Dr.
party.
Bronner's, the Dr. Bronner foam party. So, it's been a goal of mine to play Sonic Bloom for a long time. So I had been reaching out to one of the contacts that I know is a talent buyer there, and had been trying to get on the bill for months leading up to even the first wave announcement. And he kept saying like, yeah, like we'll try to get you on there. Like email us back in a couple weeks, and first phase came out, then the second phase, and I was like, all right, like not looking super likely. But then a few weeks before the festival, just got an email that said like, congratulations, like excited to have you on board playing the Sonic Bloom Dr. Bronner foam party. And I was just like, oh, okay, like awesome, like let's do it. And yeah, it was really an interesting opportunity. Basically just like they had that DJ table just set up like right next to the showers and right next to what they call the Dr. Bronner foam experience, where it's basically like a huge like hollowed out bathtub. And you just kind of go up there and they blast you with like foam and soap, and there's like a bunch of like pool toys and stuff in there. Very interesting concept. Uh, but everything is better with the DJ, so uh, I think it worked.
Was it? I think I caught a little bit of your set and saw some of that. I didn't get in the foam party, but I got into like the big ass bathtub at one point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they kind of had two. One, it was basically two like big hollowed out bathtubs that were like big enough so that like multiple people could stand up in them at the same time. Um, and just kind of explaining it for people who hadn't seen that before.
Yeah.
And I think it was made of like PVC pipe or whatever. And yeah, one of them had like shower heads where it was more kind of just like a traditional like shower at a festival, and then the other one was the Dr. Bronner foam experience. So
Gotcha.
a lot going on.
Were you concerned about your tables getting wet?
I sure was, man. I was like, and actually, generally it wasn't that bad, but there was a point where when somebody was getting blasted in the Dr. Bronner experience, some like foam or something like came out of the top and like landed on the DJ controller, and I was like, that's probably not a good sign. It actually wasn't really the water though, because like that, it wasn't that much water or foam. It wasn't that bad. But the sun was very bright and hot that day, and I think that my controller might have been partially getting roasted. Um, and I think anybody that's like DJ'd outside during the day knows that like seeing the colors of things and whether a light is on or not on the controller can be tricky. But it was really fun. It was a really cool experience. I think I played for like 3 hours because I got there early and they were like, yeah, if you want to just like get set up and start playing, you can. Um, but it was super fun.
Not bad, not bad. I think I remember your controller overheating, and I thought everyone thought it was water, because I mean, yeah, you were there for a while, and I think at one point, uh, like there was just a malfunction. Am I right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you were talking about, and I'm still unsure what happened.
Yeah,
But I have a feeling it just like got heated up because it would just kind of like I wouldn't even be pressing anything, and then the song would just like stop. And I'm not 100% sure what was going down. Like I don't want to rule out that like I was just fucking something up
yeah,
because that's entirely possible. But I'd practiced that set a bunch of times, and it
yeah.
didn't seem like But anyway, yeah. Other than that, we worked through the technical difficulties. It definitely kept me on my toes, but
Yeah.
overall, it's still a really fun set.
No, no, I enjoyed myself. It was a brand new experience for me. Just seeing dongs walk by in the middle of the set, just like,
Yeah,
yep. Like, all right,
man.
let's party. Let's rock out with
Yeah.
our cocks out.
It was both ends of the spectrum. There was like kind of like really like beautiful like women that would like be around there, but then also just like the oldest of like the festival dudes. You know what I'm saying? It was just
Yep.
it was both sides of the coin.
Well, I guess you probably won't have another DJing experience like that for a while. Who knows though?
Who knows? I mean, shout out to Tim. He was working the uh like shower bus thing. I don't
Yeah.
even know really what to call the Dr. Bronner experience.
I like the
But
shower bus though. That sounds fun.
yeah. But yeah, we talked about it and they said that they had just gotten back from like Burning Man
Mm.
and yeah, it sounded like he said that there could be more opportunities like that in the future. I actually need to hit him up. I haven't talked to him in a while. But I would for sure run that back if that opportunity arose. It was pretty fun.
Hell yeah. Well, Rip Sonic Bloom while we're on the topic. I guess before we move on, I don't think they're doing it
Yeah,
again.
dude.
Um,
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well. I'm bummed. I was like, because I mean, dude, that was my favorite festival experience. Just from like getting the opportunity to play it, and I jumped up with my homie Pfeiffer during his set, and that was just like such a crazy experience. There's so many people there, and it was just like so hype. And also got to perform with like Mikey Thunder and Project Aspect, and just getting all those different opportunities to like play with my friends. It sucks that that's not coming back because it would have been really fun to run that back this year.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed. I was there on our press pass last year, doing collecting names and information for I Can't Produce. You are one of those people, and
Oh yeah.
that was a great experience. I am super bummed that they're not doing it again. Are there any other festivals or circuits you have in mind? That maybe prospects.
I've submitted for, so I mean, in Denver we've got, um, God, what's it called? It's in the summer. It's on Broadway. Um, but there's like a kind of like a mini music festival that happens right by my apartment that I've been wanting to play. Um, so that one would be cool. Soundhaven in East Tennessee. I'm from Johnson City originally, and Jamestown isn't too far away. So playing that would be really cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would be open to anything. I saw Cascade Equinox is coming back, so that would definitely be a dream. I know some of the guys that like help curate that lineup. Um, so and that was just a really fun festival last year. I can't speak highly of it enough. Um,
I'll
but yeah,
definitely have to check that out. Where is that at?
Cascade Equinox was in Redmond, Oregon.
Interesting.
Um, that was when I got to jump up with Pfeiffer at as well last year, and just a really cool festival. I think it's put on by the same people as like Gem and Jam.
Uh,
Um, just a very like uh, cool crowd, great curation of music, a lot of different genres. Oregon was really beautiful. Um, yeah, I don't know. Can't speak. The weather was great. Like all the music was awesome. It was really sick because like I'm a huge Pretty Lights fan. Pretty Lights fan. So getting to sit in with Pfeiffer, and then like Matty O'Neill came on after us, and then Pretty Lights was after that. So that was just like a pretty sick experience getting to like perform on the same day as one of my favorite artists.
did you get to meet any of those guys? Uh,
Like in the PL band.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I've actually met most of them before. So Borum, I used to write for a music blog called Compose Yourself Magazine.
Oh, very
Um,
cool.
and we had done interviews with Borum Lee and Adam Deitch before. I know Adam doesn't drum with PL anymore, but so had known Borum for a while. Alvin Ford, I met because when I wrote for that music blog, we would cover shows at Cervantes all the time, and I met Alvin when he played at a Research Wednesday, which was, if you're in Denver, the Shift Thursdays used to kind of be the Research Wednesdays. Like that was kind of their like weekday show that usually was like some type of electronic artist. And pretty much the Pretty Lights live band without Derek had performed there a couple times, and I had met Alvin. I think one time they did it when it was like Brandon Butcher, Alvin, Borum, and Chris Carnes. And then I think they performed there a separate time where it was those four, and then Byrocratic. He's like this producer out of New York. Have you heard of him before?
No, I haven't.
Bureaucratic.
These are new names to me.
He's really dope. He had a remix on the Closey like remix album that just came out. But it was really sick. Like he plays the bass, and it was basically him and the Pretty Lights live band all performing together as they headlined one of the nights. But anyway, I had met Alvin through that. Chris, I've known for a while, also through research shows. Um, and Menard, I'm a huge fan of. I'd love to like work with him someday. I think Mikey Thunder has like shown him my music before because he said he was like familiar whenever I like had talked to him before as well. So anyway, I've met most of those guys, but I haven't met Derek before, so that would be cool to do someday.
Yeah, no, he's. I've also never met him either. I would love to, but what talking about an icon? That man was um Pretty Lights was out of the game for almost a decade, right, I believe. And it's crazy that I just saw him on the Bonnaroo lineup, like headlining. And
Yeah,
I was actually really I stopped for a second and thought, what is that? Like, how do you go from hiatus for that long and then go immediately to headlining Bonnaroo? Like that's my mind was kind of flooded with like thoughts of what a marketing team, what a fan base, how iconic you are. He is definitely a giant and a pioneer for the EDM genre.
Yeah, yeah, dude, absolutely. And what I'll say is, so if I'm remembering things correctly, because I'm like a bit of a Pretty Lights nerd, his last show before the hiatus was Red Rocks in 2018.
Yeah.
So I think it was closer to like a 5-year hiatus, and but still a decent amount of time off. But he had like a huge tour last year that I think like helped gain him some traction to be able to like headline E Forest and Bonnaroo. Um, but like that tour this past year was sick. I'm not sure if you've like caught any of those live sets. Like he streamed all of them.
I've watched a few online, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I would love to catch him live. And I actually haven't watched the full one yet, so I think I'm gonna do that soon.
I have some recommendations. I think I hit uh like 12 shows on that tour.
Oh, sick! I remember, dude.
went
I was
pretty
trying to
ham.
arrange this, and you were like, "Nah, I'm in a different city,
Yeah.
following Pretty Lights." And I was like, "Nice, brother."
I went pretty ham, I'm not gonna lie. But it was super fun, and like getting to explore in all those different cities was like just as like fun as a lot of the shows. Um, it was really cool. But like, um, I definitely agree. Like it's cool to see that what they built still like is so like I don't know, still has like such a strong fan base all these years later. And him incorporating Michael back into the band, I think is really dope. Um, they're just like super. It was also just cool to see how like more locked in they got as the tour went on.
Yeah.
Like the New Orleans shows were the best the band sounded on the entire tour, in my opinion. And it's just cool to see that as time went on, and they were even great in the earlier shows. I saw them at Dylan, which was their second tour stop, and even those shows were amazing. But just like the evolution of it was really cool to see, and them leaning into like the different samples and remixes and things like that. Yeah, I've never it like I've heard other people say this. It's kind of like ruined a lot of electronic music for me because like I feel like the bar is so high now, and it was just like so good, and I don't know. It's really cool to see what they're doing.
I'll have to check it out. Fusion and live band stuff is something that really gets my ears perked and my brain going. So that sounds right up
Hi-
my alley.
Highly recommend it. Their sampling and like the sample choices and remixes that they do are so interesting. Also, it just it made every tour stop different. Like none of the songs sounded the same, even if they played the same song at two different tour stops. Like they would always put a new flair on it every time, and like
I'm
I think
completely
everybody
sold.
appreciated that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I love that. I wish DJs could do that more. I think it's a bit hard with the tool set that we're given sometimes. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm with you. I think generally, like, switching it up every time is better. I mean, like with rap shows, it's like it's gonna be a little different every time, just because like sometimes I'll do some songs cleaner than others, and like sometimes, I don't know, just because it's kind of just a different experience every time, even if it's the same song. But like for DJing, yeah, I think like switching up like different mashups or acapellas or blends, I think that's important. But at the same time, I'm not like a touring DJ.
Yeah.
Like I've played some shows outside of Denver, but like for me to say, yeah, they should be keeping it fresh every show. I'm sure that when you're playing in a different city, like every night or every other night, it's easier said than done, I guess is all I'm trying to say. But
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that sentiment, and that's something that I would like strive to do.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's not. But I guess by me saying that, I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone, or I guess the fact that pre-recorded sets are becoming more of a well-known fact in the industry.
Right.
I guess what I'm saying is that I mean it's just you brought up that you appreciated that, and I resonate with. I appreciate the fact that if I go follow a it kind of comes down to that scenario a lot of times where it's like if you're going to follow an artist and they're going to play songs differently every time, kind of like that's why man, I've learned a lot about jam bands this past year or these
Nice.
past couple of years that I've been in
Yeah.
Colorado. And so like I think like some of the catches with that is like they're jam bands and they're going to play it differently every time, sort of thing, right?
Hmm.
And I kind of wish like those fans, what's the band I'm thinking of? It's like Dead. I think it's not Dead Floyd. It's and it's not Humphrey McGee's. Um, Anyways, these types of jam bands, they get fans that like they're like deadheads. They'll follow them around the country, and I feel like part of that is because every show is worth going to, and I feel like you just kind of lose that with a pre-recorded set. You just can't acquire that
Yeah.
potentially.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And like while I'm with you also that like I respect it more when an artist is able to give a new interpretation to a song at every show that's like different. I definitely think that when it comes to like pre-recorded sets, like I think music production is harder than DJing. Like I've tried both, and like I've probably spent more time DJing than I have like doing music production. It might actually be somewhat similar, but um, I would say, like, in my opinion, music production is so much harder. It is much harder. But what I'll also say is, like, if people are paying money for tickets to go see you, I do feel like you kind of owe them somewhat of like a performative, like some type of like performance aspect. Even if like, you're up there and it's like an Ableton set that you put together ahead of time, and it's mostly just like, mixing the songs and doing some effects that maybe like you built in Ableton. I still like think that I still like respect that because, especially if you produced all that music, like the time that you went into producing that, like that can be so much like so time consuming and like difficult. But like at the same time, it's like also when people are like paying money to see you perform, I feel like you owe them somewhat, some type of performance, even if you do like kind of make it easier on yourself. Like I'm okay with that. But like yeah, for something that's just completely pre-recorded and like you hit play and like the controller's unplugged or you're just not doing anything, it's like in my opinion you kind of owe somebody that. But like I also have massive respect for producers because I know how time consuming and difficult that can be. And it's yeah.
That's a very balanced way to put it, and thank
Yep.
you for that because I do both, and I would agree DJing is fun, but it's kind of like why or sorry, DJing is a lot more fun
Yeah.
than
It's less
producing.
tedious,
It is far less. It's and the once you get the workflow or once you understand a workflow, it's all about just like trying out new workflows like live. So it is a bit more inspiring to a degree.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
I
Go
think
on.
it's easier to pick up, I guess is what I would also say. Like music production, if you want to get good at it, you have to spend a lot of time. Like DJing, if you have a really good ear and are already like really good at like feeling the vibe of like what you're doing, like you could be a really good DJ without having really fancy like mechanics.
Exactly.
Whereas with
Yeah.
music production, like that, it takes a lot of time to hone in those skills. I would argue more time.
Yeah.
But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. You didn't cut me off at all. I actually, I think this is a decent segue into. How did how, how did you run your Cervantes show with Homemade Spaceship? Like, what were you running Ableton or Serato? Did you have an? I think you had an MC, or you had a DJ with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'll do both types of sets just to give this some context.
Yeah.
Like at Sonic Bloom, I DJ'd. I think I picked up the mic and rapped a little bit, but like that I felt like the vibe there, it was better to just do like a DJ set. But at Cervantes, because I was doing more rapping, and at times while you're rapping, it can be tough to like handle doing all the transitions. Um, I had my friend Sam Goodman. He goes by Sammy Seeds. One of my best friends in Denver.
Shout out Sammy
He
Seeds.
Yeah, shout out Sammy Seeds. He's DJ'd for me like since before I knew how to DJ, since like I was because my original when I first started performing, it was all hip hop. Like I was rapping the whole time, and that was before I knew how to DJ. So I would always have Sam with me. Um, at this set, I did a lot of rapping. I always like to have Sam with me regardless. He's been an integral part of like all of my live band sets. Like he's the one who like deconstructs my songs and assigns like instrumentalists different sections of the song and like does so much work on the back end. I can't give him enough credit, but um, anyway, for the question for the Cervantes show, I was running Tractor and I had my turntable, and then Sam was running Ableton, and that was a set where we had all the songs picked ahead of time. I was rapping over them, so I wanted to make sure all my verses were like dialed in. Generally, when I'm doing a hip hop set, it's less like freestyle where I'm like picking songs on the fly. Um, and yeah, Sam was running Ableton. He also had effects that he was putting on my vocals as I was doing it. We were running the mic through Ableton, so he had these like custom effects that he built that he would do on my vocals while I was rapping.
I really didn't.
Um,
I wanted to. I enjoyed that live a lot.
Hell yeah, man!
It was.
I'm glad you liked it.
I thought that was a really cool part of the show. I think bass rap could do that a lot more. And then the fact that you were doing it live and they were like, yeah, that was sick. So compliments.
I appreciate it, man. Like I feel like this sounds really cliche, but like I feel like trying to do something that's like different is really important. And I don't know. It's something that we toyed around with like a side project that I have with Sam and his roommate Phil Cunnell. Shout out to Phil. Phil's my boy. Um, but we have like a side project where it's a similar idea where Phil is like DJing like dubstep and Sam is doing effects on my vocals like as I'm rapping over it. So it's like much more. I think for that set, like the focus on the effects on the vocals is much higher. I think for my set at Cervantes, it's like something that we use sometimes, but it was like a little more used a little more sparingly.
Gotcha. So,
but
but you said you were running Tractor and Ableton. That's how do you, what was your workflow there?
I have my own laptop that I was running Tractor on. That's just for samples that I was scratching with.
Oh, okay,
So I
cool.
wasn't,
Yeah,
yeah, I wasn't like playing any backtracks. It was just picking different samples that I could scratch with.
got you. Yeah,
Because
that's.
I have like a Tractor, vinyl, so that I can just choose my samples on the computer.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Do you know how to vinyl DJ
Um, I mean, like, I
turntables?
would say no.
Okay,
Like, I
yeah,
I could, but like, I can't beat match with real vinyl. Like,
got you.
that's
Okay,
very super difficult.
yeah,
But I can scratch with real vinyl. It's just like, usually, like a real turntablist would probably say, like, no, I can't even scratch with real vinyl. But I do use the like scratch sample vinyls that you can get because I have a turntable for 14s that like I have like these like scratch sample vinyls, so it's like it's not a I don't need to use like a laptop or pick my samples for it. Um and the samples are just on the vinyl. Um so I can scratch with that, but I've done it with real records before, but I'm not great at it. Like it's just really time consuming and like I feel like when I can just find the samples online, I can make it so much easier for myself. Like I would rather not spend the time learning that when it's like I already can accomplish this in an easier way.
right, right.
I have infinite respect for people who can though. That's what real turntablism is. And like shout out to like Mile High DJ Supply. Like they put on these like competitions in Denver where it's like real turntablists. They're like actually scratching real vinyl and like it's super impressive. I have infinite respect for them. So I just need to put that out there as well.
Hell yeah, I would love to get into real DJing one day. I think it's unfair to call it that, but with vinyls and yeah, it's just a different skill. Like everything that I do is super effects heavy, and is kind of based around the CDJ workflow. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's a different world.
definitely scratching. Like I'm not great at it by any means, but I took lessons from Briscoe Jones. Shout out to Briscoe. He's a local here in Denver. Who's like I would say a pretty legendary turntablist like in the Denver music scene. But um, he taught me a lot, and I think once you kind of build some muscle memory, uh, it becomes a lot easier. And I'm far from great, but it's definitely a fun tool to have in the toolkit, and it definitely adds a live element, even if you're just doing a DJ set and you don't want to rap. So I think anything that branches out from just a standard like, and I go to shows all the time where DJs are playing sets on CDJs, and CDJs are fun to use, and there's so a lot of expression that you can give with them. But I think anytime you like have some type of other live element, people have a lot of respect for it, and it just like um it's a cool way to kind of differentiate yourself.
Certainly, certainly. I could never get past the scratching phase. It was pretty difficult for me. But I guess maybe I did it for about 2 months, and I guess I got some nice fills in, but I couldn't get it down. I was not a natural at it. I was a lot better at just beat matching on digital devices. And
It takes
I
Yeah, it takes a
really
while to get over that first hump. Sorry.
oh no, sorry. It must, or at least I didn't do it. So um yeah, I was just tying it back to how everything I try, because I know, because of the immense respect that I feel that I have for uh turntablists. Oh, my bad. Sorry. Yeah, because of that, I always, this is what I try and say. I try and say, all right, I'm not doing like a vinyl turntable stuff. Like I'm not beat matching. I'm not like labeling key, like the computer's labeling like what key, and like potentially like auto matching the key for me. Like, so with all that work taken off my hands, I always try and keep that in mind. And I always try and bring like a creative element to my mixes using effects and chopping, and I really try and fill in I often too much in my mixing style, to be completely honest. Like I really think I overkill it. But part of the reason that I've done that in the past is because I'm trying to make up for the fact that I'm not like, like doing real scratches or
I get what you're saying.
yeah, okay, for sure.
Because it's like you want to have that your own flair on it, and it's like you want to be like active and doing stuff when you're up there. I'm for sure guilty of that too. Um, and yeah, I don't know, but at the same time, I think like putting your own style on something is important. So I definitely understand that.
Appreciate it. Well, I got a few more questions here lined
Yeah.
up. So you said you dabble in production, or do you just mainly rap?
Um, Nowadays I mainly rap,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
during COVID, I went through a pretty hard producer phase for about a year. And funny you mentioned Deli Cuts because I actually produced that one.
Really?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. So and I, again, got to shout out Sammy Seeds. He basically I created that song in Ableton, I produced it, and then took it to Sam, and Sam was like, "All right, here's how we're gonna like make this not shitty," and mixed it down and like would change it. He'd be like, he wouldn't change like where the snare is placed, but he'd be like, let's find a better snare, and like would help me find better like sounds, and like helped me like design the subs better, and like just helped me out a lot in tweaking it to make it like sound a lot better than what it sounded like. But the core concept, like the samples and the melodies and the rhythm and the drums and everything, are like what I produced. It's just like him helping me find better sounds and like tightening it up a lot, I guess is the best way of putting it.
That's dope. Deli Cuts was my, yeah, like I said, my favorite one. It was actually the last one that I listened to. I had like started listening on my phone, and then like going through music today, and then I was sat down on my desktop and just had like a different view of Spotify, and I knew there was one I hadn't listened to yet, and it was Deli Cuts. So that's kind of why I remembered it. Um,
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it, and like finding all those samples, like all the sandwich related like cartoon samples, that
yeah,
was all me. And that SpongeBob sample fit so perfectly just right in that bridge. It
yeah.
was like it's just like those moments of like magic. Like, and I'm not a great producer by any means, but like when you just put something in there and it just like fits really well, and like I had to warp it a little bit and like touch it up, but like it just fit like even with the rhythm and the flow, like it was like a missing puzzle piece.
I loved the SpongeBob sample. It made me laugh. It felt in key, however that makes sense. Like it
Yeah,
was
dude,
sick.
it just fit. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. Like um but yeah, I want to get back into production. I talk about it. It's like I don't like talking about it because I feel like I talk about wanting to get back into producing so much, but I never actually do it. But my lame excuse is that like, I work a full-time job. So after work, the energy that I have that I put towards music is typically done like writing raps and practicing DJing. Because I've got like a DJ gig coming up at the beginning of February, and writing raps is something that like regardless of whatever other avenues of music I'm pursuing, whether it's like producing or like trying to learn an instrument or like practicing scratching, um, I feel like writing raps is always like the staple that like I stay consistent with throughout the inconsistencies of all the other musical avenues.
For sure. I think it's important to craft not one skill at a time, but like take your time with the with certain crafts, and like you can progress certain skills faster than others, and sometimes that takes like focusing on one for a certain period of time before you start focusing on another. And I don't know, yeah. I mean, like I said, production is, to a degree, it's tedious, and if until there's a hump over that too, and the tediousness kind of really takes away from the creative draw. And so once you get over that aspect, production becomes a lot more fun. So I think it's all about finding your workflow, and yeah, that takes time, and definitely focus on what you think your musical journey is taking you on. That's how I feel.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's kind of just like I feel like for me too, it's like what type of show do I have booked coming up? Like what do I have pressure on, like learning, getting better at, or practicing? And typically that's what drives whatever other thing I'm doing outside of writing raps. Um, but it would definitely be a dream to be able to do music full time someday. I think it's possible. It kind of feels like what the next step would be. But um, you know, I like the company I work for today, so I don't see myself like leaving anytime soon.
Okay, that's good. What do you do, if you don't mind telling the internet?
Yeah, I work for a company called Pax8, and it's basically a software distributor. So we help businesses with like cloud business software, like cybersecurity. You might have, be familiar with like how big of a threat like like phishing emails and stuff like that are, and like people getting viruses on their computer that can like lock them out of their company data.
Yeah.
Um, and basically, we sell software that like prevents that from happening, as well as like what my team does is like sell software for like Microsoft, like email and Teams and the Office apps. It's also like CRM and like accounting system software. So it gets complicated quickly, but it's basically business software for a bunch of different types of businesses, and I manage a sales team there. Um,
Okay.
so I really like my team. I really like the people I work with. So yeah, I mean, like it would feel foolish of me to leave kind of like what I've got going on there.
I think it's super important to like your coworkers and the people that you work with. Very important. I could do a lot of different kinds of jobs that I kind of hate, as long as I like the people I'm working with.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I love the people at PAX 8, and they're really flexible with like time off. Like I was able to take a bunch of time off to play like shows and go to all those different tour stops for Pretty Lights. They are extremely like accommodating, and it's rare to find that, I think, at a lot of places. So um yeah, it's a I feel pretty lucky to have like gotten in when I did, and had the opportunities that I've had since starting to work there.
Well, that's important. That it's been important for me to realize that doing music full time is. I don't know. I don't know if it's in the cards. I'd love for it to be in the cards, but most of the people I've had on the podcast are people that I respect as musicians and producers, and a lot of them have, it doesn't pay the bills. So
Dude, I feel you.
yeah,
I was gonna say like, I would be happy if I was just like if I was doing music full time and I was able to break even. That would be a huge accomplishment.
yeah,
Because it's like the way I always describe it to people who I talk to that like ask me like how much I get paid for doing music stuff. Like the way that I describe it is, I won't like name any venues, but like I'll get a show at like a venue where I'm like selling tickets, and I'll spend hours preparing for the set and like writing new music for it, and oftentimes I'm paying like collaborators or people to sit in with me, and I'll end up like netting, maybe like $100 from that show. Like my total pay will come out to like, $300 or something like that, and I'm paying other people to help like perform in the band and stuff like that. Um, and it's gonna, it takes massive amounts of time and energy to prepare for and to play and to sell tickets and everything like that. And that's after selling like, close to 100 tickets. That's still probably net like $100. Or I could like go like DJ like a hotel like lobby and make like $1,000 for like a 2 hour DJ set or something like that.
right, right,
Um, and it's just insane because it's like it takes no like the hotel lobby set will be like five people like walking in and out, like some of those corporate gigs, and it's like the energy that it takes to prepare for that and the effort that it takes to actually do it compared to something that you get paid so much less for that takes all of your energy and
All
you
of your
know
effort.
yeah, it's really it's it sucks. And I feel for full-time musicians because like yeah, to put like your heart into something like that, especially people who are like um really really grinding in the studio and like uh I don't know. I can just see how that could be really discouraging um because it's like you put so much energy into it and like the pay is barely enough to like get you there and back. Um, for I think a lot of like touring artists that are like kind of just getting started, or even ones that are like headlining smaller rooms.
Well, I feel like that's why a lot of people market um, different skills within the music industry. So
Same.
there's definitely lessons, and that's something that I've tried to uh, get an income from, is teaching people, the art of music production and music in general. What was I going to say? I kind of lost my train of thought on what the other routes of. Oh yeah, a lot of people just actually they'll start on like profitable projects that aren't experimental bass music,
Yeah.
and then like just do that in full time, because that'll pay the bills. If you like, I personally, like, I've been tempted to get really good at house music, potentially start a house project, put all of that stuff on like um copyright free music, and just try and collect royalties.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely. Like I totally agree, and kind of in that same realm. Like I feel like getting more comfortable DJing genres of music that I used to not even be fans of. Like I really did not love house music for a long time, like up until a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And once I started finding house artists that I really enjoy it now. And even like even house music that I that's not my favorite or things that I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to on my own. I have a different type of appreciation for it, and I think like DJing it and like you know like wanting to kind of like add that to my repertoire of like different types of shows that I could play has really given me like a greater appreciation for it as a whole. Um,
What
I think being
No, no, no,
I was
go
gonna just
go on,
yeah, I was gonna
finish.
quickly just say I think like being able to like play different types of sets is really like advantageous in the music industry. Like being able to do like a hip hop set or a DJ set or a live band set, like being able to fit into all those different molds has at least given me a ton of different types of opportunities, at least in Denver. And I can't shout out Cervantes enough. Like they have been extremely supportive. Hopefully, I have a couple things cooking with them right now that I can't really talk about yet, um, but yeah, like being able to and being able to DJ house music included, like just really opens you up to so many different types of opportunities. So anyway, just wanted to throw that in there too.
Yeah, shout out Cervantes. They seem like a really chill or dope venue. They, yeah, yeah. I'm not in Denver, so what's actually this is a decent segue. What is the music scene in Denver like? You said you're from Tennessee, right?
Yeah, yeah, I
What
grew
is,
up in Johnson City, East Tennessee.
yeah, is there a good music scene there?
It's actually getting better. Johnson City has grown a lot. I played a show there in December I played a show there for the first time in December. And it was really fun. There was a good turnout. I rapped, but it was mostly a DJ set. I'd say like I had 20 or so friends show up, and then more than like that was like less than half of the people there. There's like more people than that I just didn't even know that I think just like go to that venue on that night for that like because it was kind of like their electronic night.
Yeah.
Um, and it was super fun, man. And like when I was walking around downtown afterwards, a lot of the different like clubs and bars had live music, which I think like didn't used to be the case when I lived there, but I think like over the past couple years they've really started to step up their game, which I love to see. But yeah, no, Denver, like the music community has been extremely welcoming, and I love the music scene in Denver. I was it like seeing all the shows that happened in Denver before I even moved out there. Um, the Research Wednesday shows in particular, which I had mentioned earlier. I saw the lineups for those, and it was like all of my favorite artists, like every Wednesday. And I was like, man, Denver gets all these shows on Wednesdays. Like, I need to get out there. And when I like accepted a position at the first company I worked for, when I moved there, um, like I was just going to show. I mean, I still probably go to like 2 or 3 shows a week, but I was going to shows all the time, and I gotta like again, Cervantes is where they would host those Research Wednesdays. When I wrote for that music blog, I was like covering those Research Wednesdays every Wednesday, so I was there all the time, and they just get like the sickest artists, like so frequently. Like there are just always shows that you want to go to every weekend. It's tiring, is kind of like how I would put it, because it's like you're just hitting shows all the time. But at this point, like, I think like going to shows sober has been like something that like I enjoy a lot more now, and it's like it makes it a lot more a lot easier to like go to all these shows like
Yeah.
so often every week. Um, but man, we just get such good music all the time. Such amazing electronic music. The people that I've met in the community, like 90% of the people are just really friendly. I'll shout out KMG, the recording studio. My homie Rob, who goes by Homemade Spaceship, we were talking about earlier.
He was the last guest on the show.
Oh, nice! I didn't realize he had done one of these. I need to go and listen to that. That's tight. I love Rob. He's one of my best friends out here. But he records me over at KMG, and like they record like the guys from Lettuce often, and I think they had somebody from the Roots recently. There's a lot of cool spots with artists that I think a lot of people would recognize, uh, and just like you know that sense of community that comes with that, I think is really special.
I think the EDM community is really good at community.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true for the most part. Like,
It's an interesting fan base.
it is, man. Like, I've met a lot of different types, and it's all like the subgenres too, and like, it's cool, man. I mean, like, I have nothing but love for the electronic music community. I think, like Prob Cause is one of my biggest influences, and I think like walking that line between hip hop and electronic music, is something that I love to do. Most of the lineups that I've been on have been like electronic music or like jam bands, or I haven't even been on many like hip hop lineups, which hopefully that'll change soon. We'll see. Um, but anyway, like I think like those fan bases are all have a lot of really cool people, and it's a cool thing to be a part of.
Certainly, I am not really a part of any other. I don't think I've been to a non EDM show in over a decade, other than
Really?
like rock shows. And I saw Sublime. No, there's a guess. I guess there's a few here and there, but I wouldn't call myself a part of any other community. I'd say is kind of what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a Denver brings a lot of good hip hop artists through. Shout
I
out
would
to
I would love to
Dan. I think
get
his
more
last name is
into it.
Morlock.
Morlock.
Yeah, he goes by Dan Booked Me on Instagram. I think that's his last name. But he books a bunch of like all of the best hip hop in Denver. So I would definitely keep or an eye out for anything that he books, whether you've heard of the artist or not.
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
I really want to. I've said this
Dan
before.
Hargrove, sorry.
Hardgrove,
Dan
okay,
Hargrove,
Dan
yeah.
Hardgrove, correcting the
Yeah.
record.
Yep.
Well, shout out Dan Hardgrove. I will check out what he puts on because I want to get into the hip hop scene more, or at least I just want to know the music more. Because when all you listen to is EDM, I feel like it's just not. It doesn't. One, it's not good to find samples in, and like discover new vocals and stuff. And two, it just kind of just to a degree, it just makes me feel ignorant sometimes when I'm like not listening to other genres. And maybe that's a negative way of putting it. But I don't. Yeah, I was like really into. I wasn't really into Kanye, but I had friends that were like before he did completely went into degeneracy, like were really forcing
Yeah.
me to listen to his music, and I never really liked it, but I liked his older albums. And then Donda came out, and I wanted to like shoot my sound system with a machine gun.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with Kendrick. I really despised his last album, and
Oh, really?
I did not like his last album.
I
I've
mean,
heard
like, yeah.
I've heard that I need to listen to it again and again and again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't find it inspiring. I was and I'm not just looking for like bangers and heaters.
No,
It
yeah, I
just
feel that.
wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a completely fair take, man. I definitely have some hip hop I can put you onto. Have you heard of Mick Jenkins?
no, I haven't.
Well, I think like anybody, you and anybody listening to this podcast, should absolutely check out Mick Jenkins.
All right.
He's my favorite rapper. He's from Chicago. But super lyrical, great instrumental choices, clever, but also like good commentary, like just on like life and society. Um, but yeah, I love Mick. Saba is really great.
I like
Um,
Saba a lot.
JID. I'm not sure if you listened to the Forever Story that came out like I think a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. Um, can't recommend that highly enough.
JID I've heard of too, and I know that I do like some JID.
Yeah, JID is amazing.
Tyler, the Creators, would you consider him hip hop?
Dude,
Yeah, right.
yes, Igor and Call Me If You Get Lost
Yeah,
are two of my like. I've listened to Igor front to back like 150 times or something crazy. Like I used to listen to it every day. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there. It's not generally not what's getting played on the mainstream or on the radio. Um, I think with Kendrick, his last album, I look at it like it's like a piece of art. It's not something I like revisit really often or very much like ever. But I respect it a lot, and I think the album is good. It's just like um, you have to be in the right mood for it. It's not something you kind of casually listen to. It's kind of like that would be a good album to have on vinyl, I think. Like if you want to
interesting.
like take a second and really like appreciate it. But like um but yeah, it's I'm with you. I mean, I'm not listening to it all the time, but I definitely have respect for it.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to have respect for Kendrick. So,
Yeah.
it's not, I mean, and he hasn't completely committed, oh my God, what was it? What was I'm forgetting the word because I've been chiefing on a dab pen over here for the last hour.
Dude, I have the Puffco right next to me, and I was like, am I out of bounds if I just hit this in the middle of this
No, you're not out
podcast?
of bounds at all, except both of
Okay.
us might start losing track of the conversation.
Willing to take that risk.
I'm willing to, yeah, take it, brother. Um, anyways, yeah, Kendrick hasn't completely spiraled out of control yet. So,
Yeah.
he and I love like basically everything he's done up until that album. Basically, I don't. That one was just a flop for me, but to each their own.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I mean, um, I think also another album I want to shout out is Vince Staples' Ramona Park Broke My Heart. I've listened to that probably 200 times all the way through. And Vince Staples like has a lot of music that I've liked over the years, but like this Ramona Park Broke My Heart, like front to back, incredible project. I want to, definitely recommend checking that one out as well.
Yeah, thanks for the recommendations, dude. Like, I'm definitely I'm going to check that out. So, that it kind of answers some of the questions, or my question I had here, which were, who are your main inspirations for your project?
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely
You
say
said
Big Jenkins.
Probcause, right? And Probcause was
Yeah,
on that list. Okay.
absolutely Prob Cause.
Okay.
A lot of Chicago rappers. Big Jenkins, Prob Cause, Saba, I would say are all artists because like what I really respect in rappers is like lyrical, like clever, something that you can relate to. Like not all I think a lot of my raps are like funny. I don't think that all rappers like have to be like funny, but like something that people can like relate to and grasp onto and like the highest compliment that I can get is somebody like hearing a song, whether I played it live or they listened to it, and they're like, this line about, whatever, like reminded me of this, or like, I felt that same way, like I have a line about like, uh, but I've never landed a nollie, and I had somebody come up to me and was like, dude, I tried for so many years to like land a nollie and practice it when I was skateboarding, and I could never land it, and I thought that line was really funny, and it's just like even I know it sounds dumb, but even those simple things that people can relate to, it's like, that's what I really like when I'm listening to rap is like one or two lines, hopefully more, but at least one or two that like I can grasp onto and like make that connection with. Um, so artists that make me feel that way, where they have like clever or like witty or relatable music, or they have a commentary on something that like I appreciate or didn't think about, or can connect to. Like I'd say any artist that can create something like that inspires me. At least in the in the rap realm. In the electronic music space, there's definitely people who when I'm producing, I'm like thinking about their style, when I'm making something that I think expresses the way that I'm trying to show something in music.
Well, they're both They are both in essence story crafting. It's just a different vessel to do that. So in EDM music, a lot of the stuff that I like to listen to, I like to consider it storytelling, where there's a start, there's a build up and interesting. It's not. It's part of the reason why I don't really appeal to house music. But either way, I think what I'm trying to say is what I appreciate in rap music is when you're able to craft a really good and interesting story. Um, and I look for that in EDM and I look for that in rap, but they're just different ways of delivering a story, I feel like, and listening to one.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. And like I feel like with electronic music, like and again, I haven't produced in a while, but when I was producing, there were like certain artists who had sections of their songs that I tried to like create something similar to. But when I'm writing raps, I don't think about like the way another rapper rapped about something. You know, when I'm writing raps, I'm typically just playing an instrumental and then just like um trying to like I'll try to have some type of theme that I decide on ahead of time, and then um one of my kind of like mentors, Jordan Polovina, kind of like changed the way that I wrote music, and he said think about the cadence before you start thinking about what words you want to fill in. So
Mm,
I have a theme of an idea that I want to express, but I'll usually try to like think of like a rhythm or like a cadence within the instrumental before like writing actual words, and then I kind of fill the words in. Um, and so anyway, like I think that that's a little different when it comes to like inspiration because like Flume and like shout out to like Dreamers Delight, like artists that have those like really wavy like side chain compression like synths that
yeah.
are like just like ducking in and out, like that's the shit that I love, and like that's the type like I'll listen to artists that pull that off really well, and I think that that inspires me in a different way than like rappers who, um, I respect a lot the way that they talk about things, and like maybe I do draw some inspiration from like you know the way that they talk about like metaphors and things like that, um, but when I'm writing raps, it's never like with another rapper in mind. Whereas when I'm producing, sometimes there are sections where I'm like, I want to do something that's like that.
That makes sense. That connects. I kind of want to talk about, or I like your lyrics. I think you're not afraid to kind of just say what's on your mind, my friend.
Yeah,
um,
hell yeah.
so you kind of rap a lot about, is it a personal struggle with addiction and kind of like it seems like you rap a lot about the like addiction in the community, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that that like affects a lot of people, and myself included. And I don't know. It's like I feel like I'm rarely like honest with myself about it, but like almost feel like when I'm writing music, it's like uh, it gives me a way to be honest with myself about it, for lack of a better way of putting it. And yeah, I don't know. I think that over that as a whole has like gotten a lot better. Like I don't feel like I really have anything that's like out of control. I still drink every now and then, but I haven't drank since like 20 25 days or so.
Yeah.
It's like the 20th of January, and it's been since Christmas uh since I like had a drink, and as far as other things go, like I don't feel like any of my substance abuse has been like out of control, but it definitely had been in the past, I guess. And I'd say a lot of like when I'm writing music, it's kind of just a reflection of that, and uh and kind of how that affected me and how it might affect other people.
Right. Yeah. Um, what there's a lot of drugs in the EDM community. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's specifically the EDM community. I'm sure it's kind of like most a lot, or maybe not most music, but
I
yeah,
I think it's more prevalent in the electronic music community, at least than in like the hip hop community. As far as people like doing drugs at shows.
I wouldn't know.
Um,
Yeah, I guess like I said, I
it
wouldn't consider myself a part
I'm
of it. Yeah, so
I'm
so
not saying
yeah,
that no one does drugs at hip hop shows, but I think the percentage would be a lot lower than most electronic music shows.
gotcha.
Um, and like jam bands, I'd say it's pretty even. Like my friends and and myself to a certain degree, were really into jam bands like my like kind of college years. So like I've probably seen Umphreys like more than 10 times. I've seen STS9 a bunch of times, like Papadozio, like just a bunch of like, and those shows are fun, but like I'd say the drug use in that scene is like pretty comparable to electronic music. But I'd say those two compared to almost any other genre um are going to be, quite a bit higher.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it's an interesting side of, or yeah, it's an interesting thing that we inherit in this community. I think it's an interesting phenomenon, but because of our system, our education system, a lot of people get kind of introduced to the community with zero drug education, and I believe that is a main cause of addiction. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
dude, absolutely.
I think it's that constantly, or not constantly. That's on my mind a lot when I witness addiction and kind of went through it. And what do you have any specific like drug that you were addicted to that you care to share a story about?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. There's a like I'll still dabble every now and then, but I definitely, like had a problem with like Molly for a while. So I don't know if there's like a certain night or anything where it was like particularly worse. I mean, for sure, like alcohol, like just getting like blackout. I have
Yeah,
some
yeah,
not ideal stories around that. But I think it was just like I think part of it was just like doing drugs and thinking like, you know, I think I was like it became less about the music and just like another excuse to like go somewhere where I could like do drugs, and like it feel okay about it. Um, and like that's when I started to realize like wait, like why I had to like reset like why I was going to these shows and like what what actually like made me happy, you know.
yeah,
And I think the worst of that was probably before I even started to write music. Even though like I feel like sometimes when I talk about it when I'm writing it, I talk about it in the present tense. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that that's kind of like the big picture of kind of like what that journey looked like and where it took me and like, you know, how I ended up, how I feel at least like on a better side of it.
Oh, I'm glad you made it out on the better side of it.
Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, like addiction's pretty bad in my family, like, so it's definitely something that I feel like I've always had to be conscious of.
Certainly. Like I said, it's well. There's a lot of addiction in our society, and it's not quite all drugs. But when it manifests in drugs, it can take a lot away from you. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
like I said, glad you came out on the other side all right, my friend, and that you're doing all right. I also haven't drank since the beginning of the month. Sometimes it's tempting, but trying to stay, but trying to
Yeah.
not get wet
And,
for now.
yeah, dude. And congrats to you on that too. I know it's like everybody's got their own journey.
Um, Kind of looking at my question list here. If
Please.
All right, I think I was stoned for this, but I just wrote down, "Are we in a simulation?" I'm not going to skip over that one.
Oh. No, I mean, like, I don't think so. I think I had a line about that in one of my songs.
Yeah.
Um, sometimes I just say, like, the way I look at rap, like, shout out to Action Bronson. Like, sometimes you just say shit to say shit, Like, I think that can be like a cop out, but at the same time, sometimes it's just like the bar just works, even if it's just like nonsense. So it's like, as long as you have like you can't all be nonsense. Like, and if you listen to my music, I think that for the most part, it's like I try to be clever and like it's well thought out. But sometimes you just gotta say shit because like the bar just works, and I feel like just real ones know you just gotta like that's just how it is.
Yeah. Okay.
But no,
Yeah.
I don't think we're in a simulation. I do think it's crazy though that like how like the rate at which like what we're replicating like reality to be is like only getting like faster and faster and faster. So I think that that's like a crazy concept that like we're getting much better at like actually replicating like reality in a digital, like on computers or in a video game or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a trippy concept, but no, I don't think we're all like hooked up to like some type of like massive computer and we're all just asleep and don't know it. Like that's I think that's silly.
Okay, I have a pretty unhinged take.
All right, let's hear it.
It's not okay. I don't think it's that unhinged, but I think DMT could be the key to like the Matrix. Not the okay. Okay. The Matrix is the wrong
I'm
word.
gonna need you to expand on that
Oh
one.
yeah. I think
Not that I
DMT.
disagree.
I think that DMT could be the key to making our brains think about time differently.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
I see
like
what you're saying.
other psychedelics could do that too. But I had a DMT trip where the main thing that I took away from it was things got weirder the worse my connection with time got. And so then I started thinking kind of about like virtual reality and being plugged into and like Roy from Rick and Morty.
I have a line about that in one of my songs on my SoundCloud.
Yep. Which song?
It's called Terry Flaps. I actually have a tattoo of my dog drawn as a Pokemon. That's like the album art for that. Shout out to braV. But yeah, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I'll send you the link after this.
No, you're all good.
I need to put that on Spotify. I forgot why. There's some reason that it wasn't on there.
Well, it's like Roy. I was just thinking that if you can slow down time like perceptually, then you can play Roy. And that's what DMT, and I was like, there's an element in DMT that's just like, if you can isolate it, basically you can just fuck with how I see time, and all of a sudden, like I could have been trapped in there forever. Like I felt like I was trapped in there forever, and I was like, why was my brain able to do that?
Yeah, no, dude, I definitely feel you. I've had I like DMT. I've had some. I had one time I was like at a music venue, and I don't smoke DMT at music venues anymore, for the record. But I hit it like during a show, and I like time traveled back in the night, and like the opener was on, and I was like trying to find myself, like I was trying to find the present because I was like in the past, and I was like, if somebody tries to talk to me right now, I'm gonna like not be able to have a conversation with them. So it was very trippy. It was like a very much an out of body experience. And I was just like walking around the venue, and I like saw myself having a conversation that I had with somebody earlier in the night. It was very weird, but I ended up finding the present, and that's that was a sign that I was like, I probably shouldn't be hitting a DMT pen at a show.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Doing a lot of DMT at a show doesn't sound that fun. Doing a little bit, I have only recently started doing, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you're careful with it, then I definitely feel that.
I have been. I do not want to blast off in a room full of crowded people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's smart. I think that's a good take.
I had a friend. My first music festival wasn't his first music festival. He did DMT for the first time in our campsite, and it was. I guess it really spooked him because he just left.
Yo, man, where do you even go? Like that's
no,
like
not while he was like he was done tripping and then just like left the music festival.
Oh God, okay.
It's like, oof. So that scared me off of it for like a while.
Yeah.
But then after that, I came around and was like kind of more interested in like the psychonautic experience. That's
definitely.
That's when I came up with that theory. I broke through for the first time, I believe. And I just thought, time. What is time?
Yeah, that sounds about right. No, I've like I don't like going all the way on it. I haven't smoked it in a long time. But generally, like when I have over recent times, it's just been like a little bit and like not like anything too intense. Which is cool too. But definitely a powerful one,
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So I actually have a question that you might have an answer to on the subject. Are shrooms legal in Denver now?
I think they're decriminalized.
Okay. Because I was sold shrooms by like my local smoke shop.
Oh, hell yeah.
But it was like in gummy form. And okay. I was just curious if it's like different in Denver.
I believe they're decriminalized. I'm not sure. I think you can just buy them from somebody legally.
Yeah.
Like, I've gotten some chocolates recently. Like, I never was a big shroom guy.
Yeah.
And I started taking them like recently, like over the past year or so. And I got some chocolates, and I've been really enjoying them. Just like not taking a ton, just like a little bit at a show. And I don't drink as much, so like, they're pretty fun. I'm into them.
I'm definitely into them too. Do you think they're addictive or habit forming? I don't think so.
I mean, I think everything is habit forming, man. Like, I think like going to the gym can be habit forming.
That's
Like you're
fair.
like,
Yeah.
it's like I think that like you can get addicted to anything. Like I think like food can be an addiction. Like, so it's like it's just like anything with life where just take it with moderation. Like for me, I haven't had any cravings for it. Like which is where I would start to say that there's like a problem or some type
Yeah.
of like something like an addiction forming. Um, but I just do it kind of for fun. It's more sparingly. Like
Yeah.
another sign would be like if I'm like thinking about it a ton ahead of time, like oh I can't wait to like go do shrooms for so and so for whatever event or night. Not that there's like necessarily anything wrong with that, but like that's when I would start to like recognize that there's some type of problem. And
Yeah.
for me it's usually like a night of decision or something like that. So um yeah, I think they're pretty fun. Like as with anything in life, like I think you could abuse it, but like generally, I wouldn't say it's like super addictive. I wouldn't put it that way.
Yeah. I was yeah, it's interesting to see psychedelics actually be decriminalized for the first time ever. I'm kind of proud to be in a state that is one of the first ones to be doing it, which is really cool.
Yeah,
Uh and
same here, man.
I'm,
Shout
I'm
out to Colorado.
yeah, I'm really I'm honestly just curious to see like what's going to come out, like if it's actually going to potentially help the public. I think it will. I think it has a ton of potential too. But I'm actually also pretty worried. I don't. Capitalism tends to
Right.
ruin most things that it touches,
Agreed.
and like it's psychedelics are. It seems
Yeah, forcing to be
unimaginable.
reckoned with.
Yeah,
I see. No, I totally see where you're going. Um, yeah, I don't think we're at that point yet, but like I definitely understand like with the weed industry, like how a bunch of like VCs with a bunch of money just like threw a bunch of money at it without like understanding like how it works, and like that happening with psychedelics could be really dangerous.
yeah.
So I definitely feel you. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I think like generally, and I know that this is separate from like people abusing uh like people trying to get rich off of selling psychedelics and like cutting corners in a potentially dangerous way for the population. I know that this is separate, but generally, I don't see people like abuse mushrooms that hard. Like it seems like when people take shrooms, like people are taking a reasonable, responsible amount. Maybe it's just like the people I know and the people I'm friends with. So I don't want to speak for everybody because I'm sure it's happening, but I don't see people like you know having terrible experiences off of mushrooms often. So.
It's
I
not.
think uh
It won't.
I think it's pretty chill.
I don't think it will ruin your life if you take it. I mean, actually, no. Everything has the potential to actually be abused to shit.
Yeah.
But I think it's just it doesn't give you the same response every time, as far as I'm aware, as far as my experience goes. And I think that's the main thing in forming habits is having a reliable uh,
Yeah.
dopamine, hit or rush. And
That's a
psychedelics
really
don't
interesting way of looking at it.
they don't provide that ever.
Yeah.
DMT has never provided that for me. Most psychedelics I've ever tried. Yeah. So either way, it's however weed is definitely habit forming, and I think that's why the weed market and the weed economy is extraordinarily interesting to me. I try and keep up with it, and it's just I mean there's big weed out there now, like big pharma, big bank, big weed.
Yeah, dude. My first job in Denver was at an edible company. And
Are you
yeah, I
able to
mean
say which one? Just curious.
yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. It's called Edipure.
Okay.
Um and it yeah, didn't have the best ownership in my opinion because like there were just situations where um yeah, just some I don't know. Just some like issues that I would say internally, like you wouldn't see at a lot of other companies.
Gotcha.
Um, it like it had. I think that company had a lot of potential, and again, I think that in the weed industry as a whole, a lot of it is just like people who don't really understand weed or like not even like weed culture. Like I don't even know how to put it, but like people who don't understand like how to be successful in the weed industry just throw a bunch of money at it, and there's a lot of inequity of like people who actually know what they're doing that are like helping give that company value and direction not getting appreciated, and then people who are like friends with the people who have the money to fund the company in the upper level management positions that get to dictate a lot of how the decisions are being made. So um you know I think because of that, like there's just still a lot of like um weed companies that you know are kind of shitty, and I think the company that I worked for suffered from that a little bit. Like it was kind of weird. Like on a certain day, we just got told like, "Hey, you can't put in like sales orders anymore," and we were all like, we were sales reps, so we were like, that's not a good sign. But like that was a week before like the company before they told us that like the company was closing, so we were all
Dang.
like, "Huh," like why not just like tell us from the beginning, or it's just like stuff like that. But yeah, it was it's what got me out to Colorado though, and I worked there for like 7 or 8 months. So um, I appreciated it for what it was.
Yeah, fair enough. No need to, I mean, drag anybody through the mud.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it like I said, or like you said, it's a phenomenon of capitalism or
right.
investors and angel investors. People throwing money at an industry they know nothing about is very common. But the thing I find the most interesting about the weed market, though, is that it's just still federally illegal. And that just God, that creates so many problems for, I mean, weed companies in general, but just like,
Yeah, dude.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
like the tax and the sales and like what people know about it and reversing propaganda. Like, what the fuck?
Dude, totally agree. And like it might have changed since I like worked in the weed industry, but like weed companies like couldn't bank at like they couldn't like start a bank account. They had to like either create like a DBA or like walk through these like weird loopholes. And it was just like so much more complicated than it needs to be. They have to use a completely different point of sale system than like any other company, and the non-weed companies. And it's like you're right, it just complicates a lot of things unnecessarily. Um, or for unnecessary reasons. So I'm really interested to see if someday that's going to change.
I hope it does.
Yeah, same here, man.
Federally
Legalize it.
legalize it. Yeah, just
Yeah,
legalize it.
dude.
We can make so much goddamn money. Think of the money.
Yeah. But it's always been the alcohol industry, man. Like talking about capitalism, like the reason that weed wasn't legal in the first place was because lobbyists like in the alcohol industry didn't want a competition.
What
So
I is it was it hemp paper or something like that also? I did.
I'm not totally sure. I'm not totally sure about that, but I just know that like uh part of the reason that weed became legal was because the people who had money in alcohol didn't want a competing you know uh leisurely drug, because there's no reason that it should have been Schedule 1.
Right.
Like that's insane. And anyway, I think that goes back to capitalism, because I think that like in society, like where the money's at and the goals, I guess, of the people that have the money, like will have so much influence over just like how everybody can live their life, and like the way that things work in general.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's a symptom of capitalism.
Yeah. I think it would be worth mentioning. I think it specifying my view. I can't speak for you. I guess I would specify that it's more, I'd call it late stage capitalism. And
Yeah, agreed.
I did say earlier that capitalism ruins everything, tends to ruin everything it touch. Which is, I think, what I meant by that, because I don't want to take it back because I agree with it.
Yeah, same.
What I mean by that is like it will eventually drive it. It will eventually suck it dry.
Yeah.
And for whatever it's worth, like you'll get everything out of it, but like to its penny, and it won't. It's not sustainable. That's kind of what I meant. And I
Yeah.
said suck
I
it
completely
dry.
agree, man.
I meant squeeze.
That's a pretty funny way of putting it, in my opinion. I think sucking it dry like implies that it's a better situation than it actually is in capitalism. No, I'm with you, dude. I mean, like, I think that like generally like what capitalism rewards is greed, and yes, it like pushes the means of production further, but like it doesn't need to at the rate that it is, and like I think that like a reallocation of resources rather than like an intensification of like, how efficient we do things, it would be better for the human race,
Right at this
like
stage.
yeah, exactly at this
Yeah,
stage.
yeah.
And like I think part of it too is that like what people don't realize about like communism and socialism is like at its core it's about like enabling the proletariat. Like that is the core belief, and like yes, there are different like realizations of like what that would actually look like in 2024, but like at its core like helping the oppressed class, and like stripping the means of production from the ruling class to like reallocate to the people that are being oppressed. Like I think that at a core belief is like a better um like system of living for people, rather than something that at its core belief is like greed and dialing in the means of production as efficiently and effectively as possible, because all that's doing is creating a higher like divide between the ultra wealthy and everybody else. And I think what's better for everybody is like a reallocation of resources.
Well, I might have to. Well, I don't need to push back, but I might disagree. To where I think that I actually think that socialist values are extraordinarily important in a capitalist society, but I think that there needs to be a capitalist kind of like foundation. And by capitalist might be the incorrect word. I think the word is the what I'm looking for is just a free market trade. Um,
Yeah. But
and
I just feel like, and people say this about, socialism and communism too, but I feel like that's never like truly existed. And like, look, I'm not an economist, so it's like my understanding of this stuff is not like as deep as it should be. But like, I feel like with the free market, like the people that have the money are always going to be able to influence it, and that's like counter to like what it actually is. But like people can say the same thing about like socialism and socialism and communism are great on paper, but like there can never actually, with humans, there can never actually exist something that's like, you know, rooted in like, you know, uh, the equality of like people, and enabling the oppressed. Like they're, humans are always going to mess that up in some regard. So it's
some,
like I think that that's a fair argument too.
something I found interesting, or heard that I thought was really interesting. I can't. It must have been a while ago. Was the concept that there's oh man, I maybe I could pull up the full quote here if I can find it, but I'm pretty high. The quote begins with essentially there's like I think it's like communism, socialism, capitalist, but regardless, the quote begins with I'm a communist with my family, and then he kind of goes through like other isms and and discusses like the groups of people that he is like that particular like
Sure.
philosophy with. But i
Yeah.
thought i thought what I thought at its core it was really interesting, saying that like a family structure, it tends to be, and like even if it's a family, whoever you consider to be your family, like that is in a sense like a communist structure that like you are living within, because I do that with my friends and family. Like what's mine is yours. Like you could honestly like eat all my food and I'd be pissed, but like your family and like what's mine is yours. And
Yeah.
like I'd have to
Well,
go out and get more food. And it's
and
not a perfect example of saying that communism would only work in a small group, but I think it's in a really interesting and awesome example of how like communist does work in a small group probably every single day to a large degree.
definitely. And like, look, dude, I'm not trying to like, I don't know how like the ideal model of like ownership works.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not saying like everybody should like there should be no like private ownership. Like, you know, I think that that starts to get into the weeds of like what this actually looks like in 2024. I'm just saying that the core belief of like enabling the oppressed class is something that I can get behind, and I think is a better core foundational structure of your economic system rather than like something that is promoting greed and sharpening the means of production, which I think is what communism really does well, is creates creates systems and tools that are effective and efficient. And like, yes, that was important when we didn't have the resources that we need to survive, but we have enough like housing and food to be able to like feed the homeless and hungry. And
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
I don't think we need to continue to like be more effective and efficient with what we produce. What we need to do is like, you know, allocate the resources that we're creating in a better way. And and at the end of the day, like I don't think that like the U.S. is able to exist without the oppression happening in like other countries. And it's
Right.
like,
Right.
um,
It is not.
I the thing like things we our tax on the world could be a lot less, and we could do a lot more with like what we create. And I guess that's the concept that I'm behind, more so than like everybody. Nobody should own anything and everything should be everybody's. Like that, like, you know, I understand that there's a lot of problems with that. And I'm not sure like, you know, how all of this plays out like in today's world, like, you know, but I just think that like there's some core concepts that you can get behind that I think relate to communism and socialism's core tenets.
I actually really agree. And one of the things that I think, so Andrew Yang ran for president last time that shit ran around.
Hmm.
And one of the things that he tried to put on his campaign was, I believe tried to coin the term humanistic capitalism.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting because what it was doing was, or what my general understanding of it was, essentially, you know, basing things like GDP off of, you know, not, I don't want to say mental health, or yeah, mental health stats to a degree, like how many, you know, what's your suicide rate, you know, in the country, you know, what are, and I think it was to a degree incorporating socialist values, and you put it better than I, kind of like relieving pressure from the oppressed class, at your you know, in as a foundational value for your society. I can get I certainly get behind that, you know, as a fellow wook, I need some help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, um, I'm also a hypocrite because like I participate in capitalism and I buy things and like, you know, like I don't hold that against anybody. And I don't know. At the end of the day, it's like we have to survive in what society it is, in what society is. And there's things that you can do that make a bigger or smaller impact on the things that are like important to you. Um, and I think that honestly, one thing I think is important is like how you spend your money and like what corporations or what local businesses like you give your dollar to.
Certainly.
Um, and I think that that's something that like everybody has influence over, is like how you spend your money. And yeah, that's just like I guess one way that you can make an impact, even if like at large scale, it's like I don't know what I can do to like help stop oppression in other countries, but like
Right.
I know that I can hopefully at least like lessen the impact of it whenever I can.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's, I mean, honestly, uh my mom was really into, like, what's the word? Like, not, I don't know if it's communes, but it's like, you know, communes and collectives and like,
Sure, like living off the grid vibe.
yeah, living off the grid vibe. But yeah, yeah, with like a little, you know, with like a little society of people,
Sure.
um, you know, friends and family, and like that was, we were very much on the grid when I was growing up, so it was just not fathomable for me. But
Right. Yeah.
you know, now I understand that type of, you know, living, that idea much more. Like that's something I'm interested in. If I ever really had the time and resources, I would certainly learn how to do that.
Yeah, yeah, that would be cool. I mean, like I've definitely thought about that in the future.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm equipped yet. Like I don't think I would have the skills and the abilities to be able to pull that off, but it would be cool to do someday. I think, you're always like still on the grid in some way, but like at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, like anything you can do to be self-sufficient. It's good for the environment. Like, um, it's just a cool concept. Being able to know where your food and stuff like that is coming from too, I think is cool because it's like you never know what's going on with food and stuff before it hits the shelves.
Yeah. And I don't know, something about maybe it's getting older, but like yeah, I kind of want to grow my own food. There's something about it, like, but I just don't have the time or resources to do that right now.
Right. Definitely a someday
Yeah.
idea.
Just seems kind of peaceful.
Yeah, dude, it'd be fun. I mean, I'd like to like have like a farm or something with just like some animals. Like that would be sick.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love animals.
What kind of animals do you like?
I
You
have a
got
dog,
Ooh, okay.
but I love cats. Like I don't know, going, like could be cool having like a pig, like a goat or something.
I
I don't know,
heard
man.
pigs are
Be
really,
tight.
really great pets sometimes.
Yeah, my friend had a pig growing up, and it was super nice, and I just think that would be cool, man. I don't know.
I kind of want a duck.
My mom had a duck
No
growing up.
way,
She
actually.
said it was really nice and really cool, and then one day it fell down the stairs, and it became
Oh,
really mean after that.
oh,
Yeah, I forgot what its name is. She'd be mad at me uh, for forgetting.
it's so sad.
I know, man. Yeah. That would be a wild pet. Birds in general are so smart. So I imagine ducks
I've just seen
probably got
video.
more to them than you'd imagine.
I've heard they're kind of smelly, but I've seen videos of them,
Oh,
and
true.
I was kind of like, that. I don't know why, but I really want one of those.
I mean, they're pretty cute,
Yeah.
Like it'd be cute having a duck. I wouldn't be mad at that.
Um. So, do you have any cats, or just like one dog?
No, just one dog. I live in an apartment.
Okay, nice.
She's kind of like a cat. Like, she was 3 when I adopted her. Like, I got her at a shelter. And I'm pretty sure her last owners had cats because I think she's confused at whether she's a dog, a cat, or a person. But she has a lot of cat mannerisms.
What do you mean?
Like when she gets up, she'll like like shoot her back out, like or like perk it up like a cat would.
Hmm.
And she'll like sit on the top of the couch and like look out the window. Um, and just kind of the way she like carries herself, like she's very much like a princess. Most dogs are kind of like panty and like kind of like a little bit all over the place. She's very like particular and like careful with like how she steps and like if you met her, then you'd understand what I'm
That's
saying.
so funny.
Yeah, she's a princess. But I got very lucky. She's a great dog.
That's awesome. I really want to get dogs, but I don't know when I'll be able to do that because I really want to get dogs when I have like property for them to run on.
Yeah, I had a house before I moved into this apartment and with a backyard. But I take her on like 2 or 3 walks because she's like a husky mix.
Oh yeah.
I take her on like 2 or 3 walks a day, and there's like a dog park. Well, it's not really a dog park, but it's a park that people bring their dogs to, and she gets to run around there
Nice,
every day.
nice.
So,
That's dope.
um, she's also like pretty tame as far as huskies go. I think most huskies are like bouncing off the walls with energy
Yeah.
most of the time. She's very mellow. She wants to be with people and other dogs. Like she just wants to be part of whatever's going on. But she's not like she doesn't like talk much for a husky, and she's not like all over the place. She just like wants to hang out with people and dogs. She just wants to be there.
Yeah, kind of like a cat.
Yeah, honestly, honestly, she kind of just like does her thing and like she's super friendly. But like doesn't really play with toys. And just kind of like other than playing chasing games and like running around to the park, like pretty low energy.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's especially for a husky. Those, yeah, you said it. They're not known for being chill.
I got very lucky. She's always been like this since I adopted her.
Yeah, I really want to adopt. But I really want to raise a puppy too because I want whenever I get a dog. I've always wanted a dog when I was growing up, but we just never lived in a house, and like people, someone was allergic.
Right.
Um, and we got a dog right when I left for college, so
Oh,
I
really? Damn.
didn't really get that. You'd like to like raise that dog, or
Yeah.
like live with that dog. But either way, now I've kind of decided that when I get one, like I want to raise one like extraordinarily well. And it'll take a lot of time, but I'm gonna take like a year, like its first year, and I want to train it to be like a service dog. Um,
Nice, dude.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah. Puppies can be a lot of work. I was happy adopting an adult dog, but I definitely would love to get a puppy someday. It's just a lot of energy, and have been working full time the whole time, so it's like it would have been really difficult to raise a puppy
yeah,
while doing that.
I might be dreaming like 5, 10 years into the future here too.
Yeah,
So
I definitely feel that. I
yeah.
definitely feel that.
I just really want a dog. God damn it.
Yeah, man. Dogs are awesome. Adult dogs are like it's kind of a roll of the dice because you don't know like really what they're gonna be like, unless you like know the person it's coming from.
Right.
But like it is much easier, and I know a lot of people who have adopted adult dogs that like are pretty easy to take care of, are already like well trained, and like it's a lot easier and less of a you know I don't know if I'd say less of a commitment, but less energy than a puppy.
Yeah, because they kind of are how they are. They're not like
Yeah,
developing.
yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
Well, that's is there a lot of snow in Denver right now?
Not a terrible amount.
Okay.
It hasn't been that bad. Like was really cold last weekend, like it was in the negatives. But it snowed pretty hard for a day or two. But sunny with snow on the ground is pretty much the weather generally in the winter in Denver. Like that's always the way I put it. Um, so we haven't gotten hit hard with snow since like a week or so ago.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, we got hit pretty hard with the minus fucking 10, 20 degree weather, which was gnarly. And
Yeah,
like with the
dude.
wind chill. I did not like that at all. I was not happy, Bob.
Yeah,
Not
man. I
happy.
I was walking Dakota with a ski mask and goggles because it was like really coming down.
I went to school in Wisconsin, and or like college in Wisconsin, and that shit was way too cold. Luckily, Denver's never gonna be like -30, like with blizzard and snow and ice falling from the sky. But
I hope not.
I hope not. But there's something I do love the fact that here in Colorado, like the snow melts like sometimes the next, or just like it's completely gone by the next day. That is such a unique quality.
Yeah, man. It goes from like 0 degrees to like 60 in like it's the same day. Like the changes in the fluctuation in temperature is ridiculous here. Um, but yeah, man, I like the weather. Like I think people think it's way worse than it actually is out here. I think that's a common misconception at least when I talk to people back in Tennessee.
Do you do a lot of hiking or outdoorsing?
I try to. Not a terrible amount, but I try to get out and hike like at least a couple times a month. Dakota loves it, and it's just fun to get out of the house.
Definitely. Where do you like to go?
St. Mary's Glacier, I'd say, is like one of my favorites. I mean, there's still a lot of places that I haven't explored, but like, um, I don't know. I kind of just hit random trails that are like Boulder or like Morrison or just like usually 30, 45 minutes outside of Denver, usually to the west. I used to go out to like Central City. I can't remember like any of the hikes or anything that we did out there, but I had a friend that lived out there, so we would um, go do some trails and hikes, kind of like on the way to the mountains.
You ever do any writing out there?
Yeah, I've had a season pass every year I've lived out here. This is actually the first year I didn't get one. But I usually get Icon. I'd say Copper is my favorite mountain. I like doing the park stuff. I'm not like great at it, but like jumps and like boxes and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Um, and then whenever we wouldn't go to Copper, like Eldora was like pretty close. We would just kind of hit that up on Sundays. Me and my homies Sam and Phil that I mentioned earlier. So that was kind of the extent of my snowboarding. But I'm mad at myself for not getting a season pass. But at the same time, I traveled so much in the fall. I'm kind of trying to take it easy in the winter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, save up for some bigger trips. I'm such a bear in the winter nowadays. I really don't like doing stuff in the winters. Like I try and like just huddle in as much as I can
I feel that.
inside. Um, I've always said winter time is dab season. So
Yeah.
I'll just stay indoors, take dabs, do my thing, and fucking get warm by the fireplace. I don't know. I didn't used to be like this. I used to be like way more about going outside in the wintertime, but now I'm just like, nope.
Y- Yeah, 100%. Other than snowboarding, I feel like I wouldn't get out too much. Uh, but if it was warm enough to play soccer or not snow on the ground, then I'd hit up some of my friends and we'd go kick around.
Nice. Yeah. Do you do any? You play soccer? That's not, or like for fun?
Yeah, I played in college, and nowadays just like pick up with some friends.
Cool.
We don't play that often, but like maybe once a month,
What
probably like
position were
even less
you
than that.
in college?
I was a goalkeeper, um, but my pinky, like my hand, my fingers are pretty messed up now. I can't even really play goalkeeper if I wanted to.
Oof.
Um, but I still really enjoy playing in the field.
Nice, nice, awesome. Did was it like just did they get beat up over time or was it like a thing?
I dislocated them at a soccer camp when I was like I was like demoing a drill for some campers, like showing them how to do it, and had to go to the ER or hospital, and like they had to keep my goalie glove on while they did the X-ray, but you could like see my fingers like sideways. And they popped them back into place, and I just wasn't super careful with them. I was playing basketball like maybe a couple months later, and I was going up for a rebound, and the ball just crushed my pinky. And I think ever since then, I like didn't. I should have gotten it looked at like immediately, but like I did irreversible damage to the tendon, and now it just like pops out of place. Like I was playing kickball the other day, and I didn't even catch the ball out of the air. It like bounced in front of me, and I like wasn't even coming at me fast at all, and it like completely dislocated my pinky. Um, so I have to be super careful with it now. But I still love playing soccer. I don't have to, use my hands as much if I'm not playing goalie.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, that it's a disqualification otherwise, right?
Yeah, dude. Other than like throw-ins and stuff.
I was never really big into soccer, but my family's I'm first generation and my family's from Peru.
Oh, cool.
And they're huge into soccer. I fucking love soccer so much.
Hell yeah.
But
Yeah, it's
I
my
just
favorite sport for sure.
what are you do you have a favorite team?
Chelsea, Roma is my favorite in the Italian league. I was a Bayern Munich fan, in the German league. I kind of had like a favorite team in each league to just kind of keep it
Okay.
interesting. But a lot of
Nice.
them were like just good teams. Like I've been to Stamford Bridge in London, which is Chelsea Stadium. But other than that, I don't really have a real connection with any of the other teams, other than just like Francisco Totti was my favorite player growing up, or one of them, and he played at Roma. Um, I also really liked Buffon, who was like a goalkeeper. He played at Juventus in Italy. So I feel like I liked players more than actual teams, and just enjoyed like watching really high level soccer.
That's awesome. I just loved watching it with my dad and my grandpa and not knowing whether or not it was in English or in Spanish because I was
That's amazing.
like just because there were like a bunch of different languages floating around.
Yeah. Oh man, I bet.
But yeah, no, that's really cool. I did, yeah, like I said, not really a big soccer, not really a big sports fan, unfortunately. I feel like it's a whole, feel like it's a nice way to relate to people, and part of me wants to learn sports to just like know how to talk to like this whole other population, like side of the world. Um,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
I
dabble.
just I don't know, I don't know.
I like soccer a lot. And other sports, I'm not completely like clueless, but I definitely don't follow like the Denver teams that I'm a quote unquote fan of. I don't follow as closely as I honestly like. One of the reasons I wanted to move to Denver was I never lived in a city that had sports teams, and I
Oh,
always
okay.
liked, you know, I always wanted a reason to follow them. And now that I live in a city with sports teams, I'm really bad about keeping up with it, which I think is ironic. But but I do try to keep up with it. Like I went to like bars to watch the Nuggets games whenever they were in the finals, which was really fun last year. So I try to keep up with it when I can, but I'm not as serious of a fan as a lot of other people out here.
Yeah, there's some crazy nuggets out there.
Yeah, no pun intended.
All the puns intended.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Um, all right, my friend. Well, I I don't really know. Do you want to carry the conversation anywhere else? We've been going for an hour and 44. I'm
Not really. I mean, like, I think I'm good. I'll just say like if I can do a quick plug.
Yeah, please.
I've got a show coming up. I'm not sure if this will come out before then, but it's February 2nd. Let me double check that. It might be February 1st. I should really know this. It's Thursday, February 1st, at Burn Down in Denver. So I'm doing a DJ set.
Very cool.
So that'll be probably billed under vinyl flume.
Vinyl flume.
I'm sorry, vinyl plume, like
Okay.
Vile Plume, like the Pokemon. But I had this graphic design person like put a record on its head and said it's kind of like my DJ project. And like I'm not gonna like be rapping or anything.
Got you.
But yeah, pull up. It's gonna. I'm not sure exactly what time the set is. I'm going back to back with my homie Jay Host. And yeah, like just I've got some stuff with Homemade Spaceship that I've been working on. He's produced a couple beats for me for tracks that will probably be coming out soon. Got a song called Serotonin that I plan on finishing up and probably dropping within the next couple months. But yeah, dude, I mean, really appreciate the opportunity to come on here and talk. This is the first podcast I've ever done. Super fun.
Dude, I appreciate you taking the time to answer my questions and deal with my I took way too many dabs speech.
Oh, dude, you're good.
Yeah,
You're
so
good. It
yeah.
made me feel empowered to hit the pub code. So.
No, yeah. I started stuttering. I'm losing my train of thought, so I hope I didn't confuse you or like leave you hanging for too long or anything like that. So
you crushed it. You crushed it.
Fuck yeah. Well, no, yeah. I you were super friendly to me when we met. We got to hang out more, dude. And let's we'll keep this conversation going offline, my friend. And to everyone else, thanks for tuning in. I Can't Produce a Podcast. This is episode number 29. My name is braV. Please check out all of the links in the description. Your support is what keeps me going. And definitely check out Louie Letdown, Spotify, Linktree, Facebook, Instagram. Click all the buttons. You know what to do. I'm going to play him out with Deli Meats, right? No, Deli Cuts. There we go. I'm going to play him out with Deli Cuts, my favorite track that I have heard on his Spotify. So definitely go check that out if you are watching in the past, present, or the future. My name is braV. Until next time, my friends. Peace out.
Since you're all working so hard out here, I wanted to treat you to sandwiches from sandwiches. I'll get the number 12.
Rolling up some flour that's loud as fucking Spinal Tap. Sprinting on the track, it's like I made it to the final lap. Trying to break some records, I love to hear the vinyl snap. They put me in the title match, they're asking where your vitals at. Chopping up these samples like some motherfucking deli cuts. Eating all these honey buns, been fucking up my belly gut. Please do not pass me the blunt if the ounce was only 40. All I hear is talk for stalk your ass on Yoshi story. I can make some magic with the standard splice clap. Spit a flow that's timeless, bitch, I'm Samurai Jack. I'ma get it poppin' when I pop out from behind a curtain. Never been this honest, that's a promise, gets the liquor working. I'm just playing Quidditch, getting lifted, trying to fly like Kirby. Passed out in the kitchen, blurry vision, yeah, they spike my Slurpee. I can't outsmoke any hipster, that is no fedora. 8 blunts back to back and now I'm lit like a menorah.
Sandwich? You expect me to break my back over a sandwich? Not a sandwich. The sandwich. Whatever. We've got plenty more to... Now I think we understand each other. Nobody eats until I get my $1 million back.
I keep my mental strong, bending spoons like Cadabra. Gamer with some bars, no parapper to rapper. You don't want it on the sticks unless you want me to smack ya. Spitting something ill, you don't want me to dap ya. I'm trying to blow some minds with the projections I'm mapping. Filling swishers with loud, they're getting torn like a napkin. Of course I wanna hit the backwoods, thank you for asking. Probably blowing kush if I'm not gaming or rapping. When you brag about your money, kinda sound like a classist. Really living in a country where the police are fascist. The blunt is extra bitter, yeah, they rolled it with sadness. Light it up and watch the world descend into madness. Bitch, I'm spitting fire, spicy lamb up in my curry. Denver Nuggets getting blunted, catching fire, Jamal Murray. I'm just chilling in this wagon like, pass your boy the lighter, please. Higher than a dragon, I might smite you with this hyper beam.
As a show of gratitude for your service in the past, here's a sandwich.
But thanks for coming, everybody! Good night!
No! Wait! What? You got your sandwich?